Thank you so much. So the poem I'm reading today, as unlike Hiba's, is mostly in English. It's called Dorожное Radio, which is Russian. It's the name of a radio station. Roughly translates to on the road radio. Russian reminds me of Connecticut, of winter. My first university, the drive, all cold glass and snow, the car heater humming a song I didn't know. They say it's easier to express yourself in a second language. It was true for me that winter, garbling my English, tongue and teeth proficient only in the neat rows of Cyrillic, Paruski, Pe, Tse, I kratkaye, as I memorized the alphabet wrote. I streamed Russian radio when I drove. The beat of the commercials was fast, but still somehow comforting. All the words I didn't yet understand, the answer to a question I didn't know to ask. Yes, there's more to the world than this. Не надо бояться. Don't be afraid. But I was. The sky was gray and the forecast gloomy. The host intoned a question. I could tell by his voice. But the one I wanted to answer was something else entirely, lost in ribbons of snow beyond my windshield. Are you okay? In Russian, I wouldn't lie. Не знаю, не знаю.
Thank you, Natalie. Before the actual reading, I was telling Natalie that this really resonated with me in my first year of college. I was like, yeah, it's cold, it's lonely. Well, for me, it was really, really hot at first because I didn't have AC. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Absolutely, yes.
So thank you so much for sharing this poem with us. A question that I have is that in your piece, the speaker notes that, quote, it's easier to express yourself in a second language, end quote. So I want to ask if in your mind or the speakers, this permission to be blunt goes away once somebody becomes fluent in the second language, or if there's always a special relationship with a language that wasn't your first.
I'm actually really glad that you asked about that lines. I'm not fluent in Russian, so I don't think I can personally speak to that. But that line was actually inspired by a research study that I had come across on the internet maybe 3 or 4 years ago that had said it was easier to be honest in another language. And in any language, they said that wasn't your first.
Oh.
Now, of course, I actually went and, preparing for this today was looking for that study. And of course, I can't find it. And of course, past Natalie did not save the link to that study. So I haven't been able to find it since, but it was a line that really resonated with me. So I was having a lot of trouble that, the year that this poem is about was my freshman year of college. And I was really struggling with the transition. And so for me, it was very difficult, to be honest, in English, which is my native language, that year. And Russian did feel much more honest. Mm. So I don't know. I would love to know more about it. And I would love to be able to find that study again, because I would really love to see if any other research has been done on the subject, because I think it's really interesting, our relationships with different languages.
Right. It's always the most interesting things on the internet that you can never find again.
Always.
Like that.
But I'm so mad at past Natalie for not saving that.
You never know what's going to stick in your mind while you're looking at them, and then later you're like, where did it go? I have a second question for you that's a little incredibly open-ended and a little poetic. Do you think there's a loneliness that's inherent to learning a language?
I think there can be. I know, when I was learning Russian, I was learning myself, not through a class. At least at first, I was teaching myself. And so for me, it was very lonely, because I felt like when I was practicing, I was listening to the radio a lot and I was reading like newspaper articles online. And that was a very one-sided relationship with the language. I didn't know anyone who spoke Russian. And so I couldn't really practice speaking. And so it felt like a very lonely endeavor. It's been a few years, I ended up transferring universities and taking a class. And then it did feel a lot more personal, a lot more fun, and a lot more of like a community. So I think it depends on how you're learning a language and, where you're learning it. I was learning it in the United States in an area where there wasn't a big Russian speaking population.
I'm really interested in what you said about the relationship that you have with the language and like the community that you find through languages. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and also your poem. It is, again, a very great honor to be home to your poem.
Yeah, thank you so much.